So good morning from Stuart Arts. Jimmy here with Augie. For some reason he wants to be in my lap today. He's not a lap dog, so this is really unusual. So today this is part 2 of the repair to Poppy's ladder. And if you watched part 1, you saw us install cleats to reinforce the treads or the steps, and also do a repair to this step, which was split. So we'll review the progress of that just very briefly, and then we're going to finish up this repair here today and get Poppy and Mike their ladder back. But before we continue, I need to address a couple of points of errata. So yesterday, when I was talking, as the words were coming out of my mouth, I knew they were incorrect. But I just kind of blazed on, hoping nobody would notice. But when I got home last night, I took a look in the Google box, and I learned that I was misusing a couple of phrases here. So we'll go over that here in this next clip. All day long yesterday, I referred to these slots that hold the rungs as rabbets. And I looked that up, and these are not rabbets. These are what are called dados. And I knew that. I had a feeling that I was wrong with that, but I just kept on with rabbits. The other piece of nomenclature that kind of goofed up is I referred to these this part of the ladder as a riser, but it is actually referred to on a lot of websites as a side rail. So I just wanted to correct those two terminology errors that I made yesterday. This is rabbit with an E, and this is different from rabbit with an I. In part 1, I removed the step and glued it with a liberal amount of Gorilla Glue, and we left it in the vise overnight to dry. This feels pretty good. I don't feel any flex in this step. So I think what I'm going to do is I will use this. I'm going to clean it up. We'll get some of the glue off of it. And just to make sure that it doesn't split again, I've got these I've got these wood screws, or actually they're drywall screws, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one on each end here, close to where the cleats are. I've selected a drill bit here that's just about 10 thousandths smaller than the diameter of the threads. When I screw these long screws in here, I do not want the wood to split. Last step here is I'm just putting a little countersink on the hole so that the screw head does not protrude. So I dry fit these screws. I know that they are a good fit, and we'll go ahead and sock these down. And I am very happy with that. That turned out just exactly as I had hoped. I was satisfied with the strength of the step that we repaired, and so I installed the cleats for that, and I spent a good deal of time fussing over this particular step to make sure that it's aligned and registered properly in its dado on the side rails. So I'm going to use a 1.5 inch galvanized wood screw, which is just perfect to go through here. What I'll do is I will use this countersink bit here, and this countersink bit will go through the side. It'll go all the way through, but for the side rail, the diameter of the hole will be large enough for the screw to pass through, and that where the bite of the threads will occur will be in the cleats. So it should be a belt and suspenders on the strength of these cleats. All right, feels like a good fit. Has a good amount of bite, and we've opened the hole all the way through so that the screw does not split the wood as I tighten it. And that is just about as good as I could hope for. So this end cap will go right over the top of that, and that's how they're all going to look. As you can see, Augie is really stoked about the ladder restoration project. On, and the square nut as well, and to hold the rod I'll just use this set of channel locks here to grab the rod, and that'll keep it from turning as I put the square nut back on. The threads were kind of upset on these when this thing was built, so these little nuts have been a little bit of a challenge to get back on here, but with a little patience I'm able to get it back on. And I want to make sure I completely tension this rod so that the side rails are pulled together and securely and snugly retain the rung. I'll take a small hammer and upset these threads a little bit. That way the nut will not back off down the road. So I'll finish the rest of those off camera. I could not find the technical name for this part that goes across the back end rails. But I'm going to fabricate a new part to go between these two rails here. So I was looking at this thing. You have about a 1/2 inch hole, and somebody had replaced this thing at some point in time, and it looked like they used a whittling knife to cut these round sections out. That probably served well for a number of years. Okay, I've marked out where the pegs need to be on the end, and I'm using a cutoff tool here just to take this thing down to diameter. This is about the simplest operation there is on a wood lathe. The dowel has been dry fit. It's pretty good, but we have that 5-degree angle to deal with. If you look here, you can see there's a bit of a gap. It's not much, but I want to make sure that that's got a good bearing surface. So I'm going to address that at the belt sander. I've been to the belt sander with the dowel here. I tapered the shoulder of this thing just a little bit, and I'm reasonably pleased with the fit. There's still just a small gap, but it's got a pretty good bearing surface. So I'm going to go ahead and call this sat, and what I'll do next is I'm going to just drill this, put a washer and a screw on it so that it's held into place, and a little bit of glue. Okay, we are screwed and glued, and I am very satisfied with this rung. With the completion of this paint tray, the ladder is done. So on Wednesday, the customer will come and pick it up. I'm about 80 pounds heavier than the next family member. If I don't break this thing, I don't guess they will either.
Appreciate it.
All right, Mike?
It's bitchin', man.
Awesome. Glad you guys like it. I hope it lasts you for many, many more years.
Thank you. Now when I fall off of it, I feel like I really accomplished something. Here's this.